the UK. And today we will be talking about portfolio advice for international students and how you go about your portfolio. So I'm extremely excited to introduce my colleagues here, George Payne from the University for the Creative Arts, International Admissions Officer. Hi, George. Thank you for joining us today.
You're very welcome. I'm very excited to be delivering the presentation. It's great.
Excellent, thank you. And we have Kasia Krupa, who is Senior Relationship Manager between Global University Systems in Uni and UCA. Hi, Kasia, thank you for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today.
Brilliant, thank you. And just a few housekeeping rules before we start. You are all on mute. If you'd like to ask any questions, feel free to do so. Just pop them into the Q&A section and we'll take it from there later. Other than that, sit back and enjoy. And I hope you find this session very useful and exciting. Thank you. George, over to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the introduction. My name is George Payne and I work as an International Admissions Officer at University for the Creative Arts. And today I'm going to be talking about portfolios. Hopefully that's not going to be a surprise to you. To start with, I'm just going to talk a little bit about whether you'll actually need to upload a portfolio for your course. I'm then going to move on to the practicalities of uploading and submitting your portfolio. And finally, I'm just going to give a little bit of advice about what you should actually be including in your portfolio as well. So as I say, to begin with, how will you know if a portfolio is required for your course? Well, the majority of our courses do require a portfolio. So if you are taking an arts, design or media course, then you're going to need to submit your portfolio just to showcase your practical and creative ability. Our business and our international foundation courses, however, don't require a portfolio. If a portfolio is needed, we'll send you an email that's just going to be titled "Your application to UCA. Additional information is required." And within that email, it's going to contain information around what you should actually include for your specific course. So it's going to be really detailed about what it is you need to provide. And finally, I should just mention that before you submit your portfolio, you need to make sure that your main application has been submitted via GUS or in uni. So I'm just going to talk very briefly about the Applicant Portal, as this is where you'll be submitting your portfolio. So when we receive an application from you, or from in-uni GUS, then we'll send you an email that's going to confirm your username as well as your password for the portal. And the portal itself, it enables you to do a number of things. You can view the status of your application. It's where you can accept your offer. You can book accommodation if you would like to. You can view information about how to pay deposits as well as apply for your visa. You can view enrollment information as well as term dates. And most importantly for this webinar, you can upload your portfolio as well as find advice. If you do have any issues with using the portal, then please do let us know by emailing applicantportal@uca.ac.uk. So I'm now going to talk a little bit about how you actually upload your portfolio to the Applicant Portal. So once you've logged in, you simply need to scroll down to see your inbox. And in the in tray, in the main page of the portal, you're going to see a selection of messages and one's going to say upload your portfolio, and you need to click this to begin the task. And it's going to look something like this. So what can you actually upload? Well, there's four main file types that we accept for your portfolio. These are images. You've got a list of the images we accept there. Documents, the most common of which is probably a PDF. You can also upload video links to a short film you might have created or something similar. Normally that's YouTube or Vimeo. If you've already got a website or you've uploaded a previous portfolio or a selection of work to a website like Tumblr or your own website, then you can give us a web link too. So we can simply follow that to see your work. And you can upload a total of 12 files. All these files together can be up to a maximum of 20 megabytes. And it might be obvious, but just in case, the work that you have to upload does, of course, have to be your own. So I'm going to just talk briefly about uploading a file itself in the system. So once you've selected that you want to upload something and you've clicked continue, you're going to be asked to upload the file itself. So you'll see the 4 kind of main file types that we've spoken about, and you can select the one that's most relevant to what you're going to be uploading. So then you're going to be taken to the file upload screen. You need to click browse just to find your file that you want to upload, and then you can click upload file to bring it into the system. Once you've uploaded the file, you're going to be taken onto the next page. And this is where you can add an appropriate title and description. So it's going to look something like this. Hopefully you'll be slightly more creative than the international admissions team, but you can add your title and your description here. And these could help explain a few things. So you could talk about the reason behind your work, so why you actually did something or why you created something. You can talk about the process of developing the piece of work. So what kind of thought process did you have? What changed? Tell us about the materials that you actually used to create it, as well as why you used those materials. Talk about anyone or anything that inspired you, or anything that influenced your work, whether from the beginning or as you were doing it. And finally, you can talk about anything that you could develop further. So we're not expecting perfection, but what would be really good to see is where you've actually created something, how you would do something differently if you did it again, how you would improve that piece of work, or if you did something similar in the future, how would you do it slightly differently? So when you're happy with the title and description of the first file, but you want to upload some further work, you can select My Upload and its descriptions are correct. I want to upload another file. And if you've finished uploading all your files, then click Select. Then select I have finished uploading. And it's going to look something like this. So you can see the different options there too. And if you have made a mistake, you can click the description's incorrect and you can go back as well. So finally, you can submit your portfolio. So once everything's uploaded, you'll be taken to the next screen and you can do the following. You can amend the file order. So where you've uploaded up to 12 files, if you want to change the order around, you can move them so it makes a logical sense for the academic team who are going to be reviewing your portfolio. You can add more files. So if you forgot to upload something previously and you notice you've missed it, this is where you can add it at the end. You can edit any titles or descriptions. So for everything you've uploaded, if you want to change something or you've realized that you missed a description, now you can put it in here. You can delete any files that are no longer relevant. So if you decide, actually, no, I don't want that piece of work, or I've got something that shows that aspect of me slightly better, then you can delete any files here too. And finally, you can submit your portfolio. So the screen's going to look something like this. You've got the different options here, and you can also see the order of your files too that you can change around if you'd like to. So if you're happy with everything that you've uploaded, as well as all the titles and descriptions you have, then select Submit My Portfolio. We're going to then ask you if you're sure, because after this point, you can't go back and change it. Once it's submitted, that's it, done. So if you are sure, then simply click Yes, Submit My Portfolio. That's going to mean the task is now complete. So we'll email you to confirm this, but you're also going to receive a message in your Applicant Portal in tray that's going to confirm it's done too. And it's going to look something like this. So that's probably the clearest way of immediately seeing that your portfolio has been submitted properly. And just so you're aware as well, it normally takes our academic team about 2 working days to review your portfolio. So it's going to actually be reviewed by the people who will be teaching on your course. They obviously have the course knowledge.
A bit of a fire alarm there.
Yeah, it may be a test or it may not. I think it's a test, it's for sure. I'm really sorry about that, everybody.
No worries, that's fine.
We can't help when they test the fire alarms, unfortunately. But yeah, as I was saying, our academic team will be reviewing your portfolio and they will be the ones who will make a decision on it. So do you have to upload everything at once? The simple answer is no. You can save some files and log out at any point. So when you next log in, you're going to be returned to the last screen that you completed. Just a word of warning though, that does mean that if you've added as a description, but you've not actually clicked continue to the next step, then it's not going to be saved. But I suppose the good thing about being able to log out at any point, obviously a portfolio could potentially be a really big piece of work. You don't want to be doing it all in one day, so you can go back and finish it another time if you'd like to. So I'm now going to talk a little bit about what you should actually include in your portfolio. So firstly, it should be really course specific. So for example, if you're planning on studying MA filmmaking, the course team are going to want to see moving image work. So you might be able to showcase a short film you've put together previously, but they also want to know about your role that you've played in it. So for example, if you have put together a short film, you might have several different people working on it, different people acting. So if you were one of those actors, let us know. Or if you were actually writing the script, again, just tell us exactly what you did. So the portfolio should be specific to you. So we want to see who you are, and we want to see your strengths as well. It should be a collection of your best work, demonstrating exactly how you can succeed on the course. It may contain sketches and paintings, sculptures, digital art and design work, photography, or even fabric patterns. It could also contain sound work, musical compositions, short films you've put together, or even essays and creative writing if relevant. Make it really clear what you're showcasing. So again, when I was speaking about the titles and descriptions earlier, that might be a good place to just really clarify what it is you're showing us. And finally, it's really good to show any outcomes of any projects you've done. So what actually happened afterwards. And I'm going to play a short YouTube video now. It's going to cover a little bit about what I've spoke about, but it's led by one of our academics, and he's going to be speaking about what it is he'd like to see in a portfolio. So I'm going to hit play now. Hopefully the sound's okay. You're never 100% sure with videos, but I'll play it now. Let me know, Dagina, if you can't hear me properly.
Yeah, sure. And I'll share this link also for everyone to double check from their side.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you're interested in studying art and design or media after school or college, then there's lots of things to take into consideration. The best way to start is to find out what type of portfolio you need. If you check on all UCA's course web pages, it will give you lots of information about what portfolios are required for particular courses here at UCA. So when preparing your portfolio, it needs to be about you, your individual. It needs to convey who you are. Most portfolios are 16 to 20 pieces of work, particularly if they're in a traditional black portfolio. Most students will have quite a lot of work when they start, and editing down to those 16 to 20 pieces of work is absolutely essential. Look at what you definitely want to put into a portfolio, the things that you're not quite sure about, and the things that you definitely don't want to put in. You might be a painter, you might be a sculptor, you may make things out of textile. That needs to really come across in your portfolio. There are lots and lots of different strategies that you could use. Try and think about it as a piece of music. So you might have impact pieces at the beginning and an impact piece at the end. But in the middle, it can be quite soft and quite quiet. So if you're someone who wants to put together a portfolio that has lots of different elements to it, then that can also be helped in the way that you design that portfolio. You need to really consider about how you put yourself into the portfolio. Read through all your project briefs. Get yourself really, really well prepared for when you come to interview. You want to make sure that you are concise and quite focused. Taking some time to really think about its contents is the most useful part. You want to try and think about sketchbooks and journals. Sketchbooks are really personal, they're often really quite raw. You want to do small scale, large scale, a mixture of all those things. But try to always show that you have a huge amount of variety in that portfolio. UCA offer a variety of different workshops and opportunities to build on that expertise. So you can explore a variety of different materials and different approaches and different sets of technologies to enhance and really build upon your portfolio. So just keep thinking about how you might put ideas together. If you're a media student, then perhaps the natural thing is screen-based. Think about putting things on blogs. If you're a painter, then you'll probably have quite a lot of other things which might be three-dimensional. Include your drawing as well, and we want to see examples of that. You really need to have a kind of consistent thing. You can keep it consistent and concise and quite fluid at the same time. Don't create any type of confusion within the portfolio. Keep it laid out really simply. It's always great to see outcomes, but the journey that the students go on is always the best bit to see. So how you document, how you develop those ideas are the elements that I'm interested in. When you come to interview, be prepared that you might need to talk about your work as well. So do a little bit of research, go back through your project briefs. Don't forget you have your sketchbook to refer back to. So when you actually come to interview, you really are quite aware of the things that are in your portfolio.
Help too. So that's everything I wanted to speak about in the presentation, but I'm happy to take any questions now too. I don't know what the best way of doing it is, Cassia and Dagina. It might be best if you read out any questions to me and I can try and answer them as best I can.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, George. Really useful information, and I hope our students and partners find it very helpful as well. I guess just few takeaways to reiterate to applicants and our partners as well is for your portfolio to be reviewed, you would first of all need to submit your application. So if you're submitting it as an agent, obviously you go to GAS Gateway, so the agent portal, and submit your application there. Once the application has been progressed and registered on UCA system, you will then receive details. So you will have your UCA unique ID, which obviously helps you to then log into UCA Applicant Portal, and you will be able to follow the steps that George obviously highlighted to submit your portfolio. One of the main things, I guess, to reiterate here, because we had cases in the past where students uploaded portfolio but didn't actually submit it, and were then expecting the academic to get back to them. If you do not click submit, unfortunately, the portfolio will not progress to the academic review stage. So it's really, really important to follow all the steps that George highlighted and submit portfolio fully. But like George mentioned, obviously you can always save your portfolio and then come back to it in case if you still want to finalize a few bits and pieces with your portfolio. So that's not an issue. And once academic has obviously reviewed your portfolio, you will receive a notification from UCA advising you on the outcome, and you can then obviously further. So if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them into the Q&A section. I can see some questions are already there. There are a few questions around suitability interview, if that's applicable to international students. The answer is yes. We are actually running another webinar session on suitability interview specifically, which is tomorrow at 10 a.m. UK time. So please feel free to join. We will send a reminder once again, so you will have the registration, and I'll share it here in the chat box as well. So as an international student, you will definitely need to go through the suitability interview to ensure obviously you're well prepared, and in case if there is an interview from the home office, the UKVI side, you're obviously confident in passing that interview as well. Okay, let's have a look if there are around portfolio. So there is a question whether I need a portfolio for Masters in Global Marketing and Communications program.
So I believe that's one of our business courses. So I don't believe a portfolio is required for that course.
Excellent. And just to reiterate, like George mentioned in his presentation, also programs in business subjects or international foundation programs do not require portfolio as such. So you can simply submit your application and provide your academic documents, proof of English. If you're applying for MBA, obviously it's important to provide 2 years of work experience, so your CV, your reference letters, etc. But you don't need to provide a portfolio. Okay, so there is a question. The limit to upload is 12 documents, but can we upload more work within one file, for example?
Yeah, you can. That's a really good question, actually. So if you've got, say, 13 or 14 different documents, yes, you can merge them together as one document and then just upload that. So that's a good way of condensing it to 12 files. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so there is a question. If someone is having difficulties accessing UCA Applicant Portal, so there is some issue with the portal, with the password, sorry, what's the best way to have this fixed?
So it's probably best if you email us at the Applicant Portal email address that I shared earlier. I think we're going to share the presentation to anyone who's interested afterwards, so you'll have that link there. But it's just applicantportal@uca.ac.uk. So send us an email and we can try and fix it for you. You can also email us the portfolio too. It's sometimes a bit tricky depending on the file size if we can upload it for you. But if you're really struggling, there's no way that you can upload it, then feel free to email it to us as a PDF document with your applicant ID number too.
Excellent. Thank you very much, George. And just to reiterate here, once again, obviously, when you submit your application to GAS and Uni, you may be uploading some of the documents along with your application. Just know that portfolio needs to be uploaded to UCA Applicant Portal itself. Once, like I mentioned earlier, you've received obviously your student ID, so you have your login details to access it. Because portfolio needs to be reviewed by the academics, so it's important you fully upload and submit your portfolio on UCA Applicant Portal, and we'll be sharing presentation and also a guideline just to remind everyone how to upload and submit the portfolio fully. So there is a question also, which I think you might have mentioned as well. How long does it normally take for academics to review a portfolio? Would you say it's within 2 to 5 working days, especially if the university is busy, during peak time?
Yeah, exactly. We try, or the academic team rather, try to turn it around within 2 working days. obviously it can take a little bit longer depending on the time of year. So if they're really busy teaching, for example, it might take a little bit longer. But we try to get back to you within 2 days, and you'll be sent an email to confirm that your portfolio has either been approved or if or whatever the outcome is, we'll let you know as soon as it's done. But yeah, we try to do it within 2 working days.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So there is a question. If I'm applying for animation, for example, it might be more for academics, but let's
Sure.
try.
I'll do my best.
If I'm applying for animation, for example, does my portfolio need to be all animation, or what can I include? Can I include other works like photography, graphic design?
Yes, you can. Again, the academic team are probably the best people who would know about that, and that's why we send an email for your specific course where it will detail exactly what they require in there. But normally, I'm guessing a little bit, but I think they probably would want to see a little bit of animation work if you have any. If you don't have any, then that's not a problem. Just upload anything that you think would still be relevant to the skills that you might need on the course. That would be my advice.
Excellent, thank you. So students can obviously still submit their portfolio for the upcoming winter intake, because obviously the start date is 31st of January, then students still have 3 weeks of the latest arrival. But how long do they have? So what's the potential deadline for them to submit the portfolio? What's your advice? Obviously taking into account there is a Christmas break coming up and academics might not be available. Would you suggest that portfolio needs to be finalized and submitted by the end of next week, the latest? So before Christmas break?
Yeah, so I don't believe we have a strict deadline on it, but you're absolutely right. Of course, you need to submit your portfolio in order to get an unconditional offer, and you need an unconditional offer in order to get a CAS, and you need a CAS in order to get a visa. So it all takes time. We are coming up to the Christmas holidays, so and the university is closed for a week over that time. So I'd recommend getting it in as soon as you can. That doesn't mean to say rush it and really hammer it in, but I'd try and get it in, as soon as possible, really.
Excellent, thank you. Yes, just to reiterate here to everyone, and I guess to mention also, we're getting to the busiest time of the year now, with obviously Christmas break coming up, but also the intake deadlines as well, because the intake is going to start end of January, like I mentioned. It's really important that you submit all your outstanding documents at the soonest, simply because we are currently overwhelmed with the number of applications, which is great, obviously. It's good to see the students are applying for the programs, but it's also important that you submit all your outstanding documents, whether it's portfolio, because obviously academics need to review it, so that should be one of the priorities, and any outstanding documents, your proof of English or your high school bachelor's degree documents. So the sooner you provide them, obviously the better, because university can start looking into those SAP and to proceed your case for unconditional offer letter. You also need to pass suitability interview, like I mentioned, and receive a CAS letter to allow you enough time to apply for your visa. So quite a few stages to get through before you obviously arrive to the UK. So it's important that you provide all outstanding documents at the soonest. I can see, Kasia, you would like to answer some of the questions here. So there is a question whether there is a portfolio interview.
So I was pressing it to do it in conjunction with George, but I believe some programs may require academic interviews, George, right? And some programs will not require academic interviews. It really is dependent on the program, from what I know. I also wanted to remind everyone, as there are some questions about that in the Q&A box, only arts programs require portfolios, so we wouldn't require, I believe UCA wouldn't require portfolios for business programs. So MBA, for example, someone asked, wouldn't require a portfolio. I know, Dagina, there was some other questions there. Is the limit to upload? The limit to upload is 12 documents, but can we upload more work within one file, for example? George, would you be able to help with that?
Yeah, so I think we touched upon that one a little bit earlier, but
oh, sorry, apologies, guys.
That's okay. I'm happy to reiterate. It might have been slightly different anyway. But yeah, essentially, you can, if you've got more than 12 documents, you can potentially condense a couple into one document. So just merge the two, because we do it on the different files. So if the documents are different, you can still merge them and include them. If they're totally different pieces of work, you might want to make that clear in the description. But yeah, there are ways to kind of get around it, I suppose.
And the last thing, I see a lot of questions about credibility and suitability interviews. Just to clarify, there is only one suitability credibility interview, which is taken at this stage of while you're going through your application within uni and applying to UCA. Just to clarify to everyone, we would like you, to book that interview as soon as possible once you've obviously submitted your application and you're collecting your documents, you're providing your documents. As Dagina mentioned, the documents are key here, to be providing them as soon as possible in order for your application to move forward. And to answer someone's question here, it is the same. So we sometimes refer to it as credibility, sometimes as suitability, but it is the same one interview. And then obviously after that, the video, that the recording that we have will be reviewed by UCA, and hence why you will receive the final answer in terms of whether you've been passed through to your CAS stage. Thank you, Dagina. I think that's it.
Perfect, thank you. And I have just shared a webinar registration link for tomorrow's webinar on suitability interview. So please do register. It's important to reiterate here that every international student would need to go through suitability interview. So it's important you know what it involves, how to best prepare for it, and obviously increase your chances of passing the interview. And like Kasia mentioned, there is no portfolio interview as such for all students. I guess it's only if academics feel that portfolio might be improved a little bit, or just maybe would like to discuss it further, they may ask to interview student on the portfolio itself. But suitability interview is definitely applicable for all international students who have to apply for a student visa. So do definitely register for that session tomorrow at 10 a.m. UK time. So there are some questions around receiving unconditional offer. So if you have provided all documents to us, and obviously provided your portfolio, in case if you're applying for one of the arts and creative programs, then admissions would look into them and issue unconditional offer letter at the soonest. Like I mentioned, please do allow some time, because currently we are dealing with a high volume of applications. So I think we've covered most of the questions here. If you'd like, I can see something came up on becoming a partner. If you would like to become an international partner, working with students and recruiting students for UCA from your area, you can reach out to us on UCA partners at inuni.global. I'm just going to share the email ID here in chat section, and we can look into your inquiry from there. Okay, here you go. So that's the inbox that you can use. Perfect. If you're already dealing with one of our educational agents or advisors, feel free to reach out to them, obviously, for more information on your specific case, and we will be happy to look into that for you. I think other than that, everything has been pretty much answered to, but if anything has been missed, like I said, feel free to reach out to your educational agent or our advisors, depending who you are dealing with. Thank you all for attending the webinar. Thank you very much, George, really useful session. And thank you, Kasia, and our marketing team for supporting this webinar. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, George. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much. A real pleasure to deliver this. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.